from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
You are now entering the Sports Drip Podcast. Brought to you by JCA Sports. Jose and Enrique Contreras.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to the Sports Drip Live podcast alongside my brother from the same mother, Enrique Contreras. My name is Jose Contreras. And guys, welcome and thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode. Ricky, what it do, baby?
What's going on, bro?
What's up,
How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Pretty excited for the show. We had an amazing card Saturday. UFC 273 is now in the books. And I guess it's not the card we were expecting, Ricky. You know, it wasn't as exciting as we wanted it to. Right, with three big fights, two championship fights, and one, high profile fight, high profile type fight. This had the makings to be one of the greatest pay-per-views in UFC history. But it wasn't. We had one. I say one good fight, and then two. You know, I guess one toss-up and the other one was just a dominant performance for one champion. Let's start with that dominant performance.
Right.
And Alexander Volkanovski retains his featherweight championship with TKO stoppage of Korean Zombie. Ricky Volkanovski put on a master class in striking on Saturday night to affirm his place at the top of the division. This wasn't even a contest. This was just a display of dominance for Volkanovski, and this was just a mugging of the Korean Zombie, man. What I want to get your thoughts on what you thought this fight was.
I mean, this was as dominant could be. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of expected that this was going to happen, especially with how great Volkanovski has been, the great champion that he is. And, you know, it went pretty much how everybody expected that it would go, that it would be a TKO KO finish in the fourth round. I tried to give the Zombie a little bit more respect. I thought that he would finish the fight at least. I knew he was going to lose this fight no matter what. And if you think about it, he probably would have went the distance. It was Herb Dean that had to step in and save him from himself because he was taking some heavy shots, unnecessary shots. There was no way he was going to win this decision. You know, he probably had a brief moment maybe in the second round where he was rallying against Volkanovski with some shots. But, you know, because that's the Korean Zombie, you know what I mean? He's been in this game a very long time. We've seen him back in his WEC days. He was known to take, you know, ridiculous amounts of punishment and then still stand on his feet and then come back with his own shots. He had real knockout power in his right hand. But, you know, at 35 years old, he's not the same fighter that he once was. And it went basically the way we expected it.
Yeah. And he called his shot, Ricky, so in basketball terms. He literally, right before the fight, he went on and did some interviews, and he said he's doing nothing special, to train for this fight. He said he's going to go out there and fight his fight, work on his style, and just go based off his style of striking. He said that's enough. He said that's more than enough to win. He was so confident and so sure that he was going to give the performance he put out Saturday, and I think that just speaks to his greatness. It was no disrespect on the Korean Zombie at all. It was just he just knew that the way that the fight was going to go, and the way that these guys both their styles clashed, he knew that he had the upper advantage from the get-go. And that's credit to him, man. If you're the Korean Zombie, you're looking at, and this is your second attempt at a title shot. This one was probably way worse than the first one was. Where do you go from here, man? I know he talked a little bit about retirement right after, but obviously there's more. There's more decisions and deliberation that has to be made there. But if you're the Korean Zombie, where do you go from here?
Yeah, we'll see what he does, man. Because he did look like he was pretty broken up about the whole thing. This was his second only title shot, in the UFC. So from where he goes from here, it's hard to say, man. He has nothing to prove. He has nothing to prove anymore. He's been in this game. He's gonna be remembered in this sport for a very long time. He has a record. He owns the record of he had the twister submission, the only twister submission in the UFC history. And everybody remember the wars that he had with Leonard Garcia, both in the WEC and the UFC. So, if he decides to call it a career here, I mean, what a career it was. Coming from the WEC into the UFC and being one of the most popular fighters in the UFC and just MMA in general, really. So we'll see what he does. It's hard to say where he goes from here. He does need some time to think about it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, obviously we'll definitely see what happens going forward. As far as Volkanovski, Ricky, there was supposed to be a third fight between him and Holloway.
Yeah.
So I mean, that looks like that should be the next fight going forward. I mean, Holloway was cleared for action right before this fight took place, but the UFC had already had plans to move on with the Korean Zombie. But now that he's healthy and he's ready to go, is that the fight to make next for Volkanovski?
Absolutely. That should be the next fight. That was the original plan, and let's do it. Especially with how close those first two fights were.
Yeah.
This hopefully should decide who is the best featherweight in the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you're listening to the Sports Drip Live podcast alongside my brother Enrique. My name is Jose Contreras. And guys, we're talking UFC 273. Volkanovski is now, or it has been, and he continues to be the undisputed featherweight champion. Is there anybody? Do you think Holloway, Ricky? Do you think anybody else out there that can get this guy a run for his money and maybe take that belt away from him? Or is he just so dominant that we have another division where the champion's just going to go and just continue to make the rounds and just have a stronghold there?
Well, I believe right now the best guy that could do it is Max Holloway. Now we also heard some rumblings about Henry Cejudo possibly coming in.
Yes,
but he's been talking a lot. But I think this time he's serious. I think supposedly he's getting back into the USADA testing pool. Mm-hmm. So if he comes in, Volkanovski said he needs to work his way up there to get to him. But if I were the UFC, I mean, remember Cejudo's undefeated, and
yeah,
I mean that would be a good fight.
Nobody defeated him for that title. He relinquished it
for that title. Yeah,
when he retired. So absolutely, put it up there. You know what I mean? One for the ages. That'd be a great fight. One thing I love about Volkanovski is he's not scared to fight anybody. That man is not scared to go head to head with anyone. He said as long as it makes sense, he's down for that fight. If he doesn't want anybody to just keep the line, like as you said, someone like Cejudo, someone like McGregor, who's someone like a big name like that, he wouldn't want them just to skip line because it's a money move. He said the only way he would accept that is if there's nobody else in line, nobody else that makes sense for him to fight. Otherwise, he wants whoever it is that reaches the top. You know what I mean, and does it the right way. And that I can really respect Volkanovski for that. But right. If Cejudo were to come in and the UFC does make that fight, do you think Volkanovski can defeat him, or do you think maybe because Cejudo's been out for so long, that's Volkanovski's title for sure?
I don't know, man. That's hard to say, bro. I right now I'll say Volkanovski still wins that fight, but Henry Cejudo, I mean, he's still a great fighter. He hasn't lost that title. He had to relinquish it. So we'll see what happens, man. It's hard to say right now.
Definitely hard to say. Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. Ricky, Aljamain Sterling has finally proved to all the haters and to all the naysayers, everybody that doubted him, and everybody who said he didn't deserve to be champion, and rightfully so in my book. Now he's a champion. Now he's legitimately the lightweight champion. He defeated Piotr Jan for that champion. I'm sorry, not the lightweight championship. The was it bantamweight?
It's the
Bantamweight championship. He defeated Petr Yan via decision. Ricky, take me into this fight, man. I mean, it was a tale of two halves, as we like to say in football. You know what I mean? Like I thought the first 3 rounds with the other system, but then the last 2, Petr Yan just took it to him.
Yeah, I honestly thought that Yan won this fight. I know you're probably going to disagree with me.
Really?
The only reason was because of that first round. I think Sterling didn't do enough to win that first round. I think he was on his bike most of that round. He was circling around Petr Yan and sticking and moving. I think Yan landed a little more significant strikes in that first round. But without a doubt, the second and third round was all Sterling. That was just 2 dominant rounds for Sterling, for him. And then of course the later rounds, I believe Yan took it as well. He was giving it to him. So yeah, I disagree with the decision, but nonetheless, I did come out of this fight with more respect for Aljamain Sterling than I did coming into this fight. He was incredible. The dude was ripped to shreds. He came in incredible shape. He didn't let all that pressure, all that noise that was going on about him being a fake champion and all that. He came in prepared for this fight, and he came to win this fight.
Yeah,
without a doubt. So I disagree with the decision, but Sterling did come in and he prepared for this fight very well, I think.
All right, wow. I have it the other way around. I think Sterling won the first round. I thought maybe I'm not saying they both did enough to decisively win, but I gave the edge to Sterling. And as you said, the second and third round were dominant Sterling.
I thought he was moving. I thought he was just moving too much. Sterling was. I didn't think he did enough. I think he was, he was circling around Petr Yan, and I didn't think he did enough. I didn't think he did enough in that first round. The way I saw it.
Regardless of the fact, I don't think anybody.
And Yan was putting the pressure most. He was mostly putting the pressure in that round.
Yeah. I don't think anybody can come out, debating if he should be champion. I know there's some people like yourself included that says you think Yan won the fight. But I think Sterling gave a way better showing this time around than he did in that fight.
He did. That I'm not debating. He did, most definitely.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I said it. Yeah, I said he was coming with a huge chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he was gonna come in and try to I guess overwrite the last performance. It was such a bad one for him. And he did that. You know what I mean? The second and third round, he was dominant. Like Sterling he couldn't do a damn thing against him. And kudos to Sterling, man. I mean, Yan couldn't do a damn thing to stop Sterling. I mean, but kudos to Sterling because he, like I said, with all the chatter and everybody saying that he deserved the belt and the way he won it was a disgrace and blah blah blah. He did what he had to do to prove everybody wrong and to prove himself right that he is the rightful champion. And now nobody can say anything. He's the rightful champion. He's there. He won it. It's his belt. This technically counts as a defense, but this is, in my eyes, he won that title for the first time Saturday.
For the first time Saturday, I agree. Well, I mean, yeah, officially I agree. Yeah, he officially won the title, even though I didn't think he won the fight. But I will say this though: when he came out in that first round, when the fight started, he came out a different fighter. Because remember in the first fight, he came and he put on a frantic pace. He was landing, but he was aggressive, very, very, very quick right off the bat in that first fight, and it tired him out, and that's what led to Yan taking control of the rest of the fight before the intentional foul. So he did come in. He came prepared. He came more composed, and very, very dominant second and third round. That nobody can take away from him.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I mean, it is what it is, and he is the champ.
Yep, he is the champ now, and he called out T.J. Dillashaw right after the fight. That seems to be might be the next fight going forward. If that is the case, does Dillashaw give him issues, and maybe take the title away from him?
Well, he's facing the former champion. He's a veteran too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he could give Sterling problems, but I think Sterling is the champ. He is the younger guy. He might be even quicker, faster, probably even more hard hitting than T.J. Dillashaw. So we'll see what happens if they put that together. regardless of the fact, if they do put that fight together, I do think Sterling and Jan should do it again for a third time sometime in the future.
I was just going to ask, should there be a third fight between these guys because of the decision, how close this last bout was for, for both of them?
Yeah, I agree. It should happen at some point, down the line. Of course, Jan is probably going to have to earn his way back. Probably with one or two more wins should probably seal the deal. But yeah, definitely TJ Dillashaw should be next in line against Aljamain Sterling.
Should Peter Orion have one more fight before he goes back into the title contention, or do you think how close his last one he goes right in?
Yeah, just like I said, he should get one more fight, maybe two. I mean, depending on how this all shakes out. Yeah. But at least one more win, he should probably get another. He definitely should get another shot.
All right, man, absolutely. Ricky, let's get into the fight everybody was talking about before this card even started. The fight that we're still talking about after this card has ended. The one fight that was literally the most notable out of them all. This is the fight of the night, and for good reason. We had Khamzat Chimaev, a dominant welterweight, who wasn't ranked before this fight until he was ranked 11, who was facing the number 2 ranked welterweight in the world, Gilbert Burns. And look, as I told you last week when we had the show, Gilbert Burns is no scrub. That is someone that if you throw him to anybody, it's going to be a dog fight, and that's exactly what this was. Before we get into, I want to hear what your opinion on this fight, because man, this fight to me was crazy.
You know what? Shame on me for not respecting Gilbert Burns enough, because I remember I said that this fight was going to end in the second round via knockout, and that Khamzat Chimaev was going to win this fight. And sure enough, that's not what happened. But man, not only did we saw a great fight, but we also saw what Khamzat Chimaev was really made of. Like what he hasn't, like if he had any heart, what would he do against adversity or against a real tough test? Yep. Because you gotta think about it, man. The guy this guy was knocking dudes out every weekend before, but these guys were lower ranked or not ranked at all, and he was steamrolling through these guys. Yep. Now he went in against Gilbert Burns, who was number 2 in the world, and man, definitely fight of the night and early candidate for fight of the year, dude. I enjoyed this fight. It was a crazy ass fight, and not only did Khamzat Chimaev have heart, but he also had a chin on him because he took some big shots from Burns that would have put most guys down. Absolutely. But he stayed in there. He went toe to toe with Burns, and ultimately he ended up being too much for Gilbert, and he won this fight.
It was a close fight. It was a really close fight. And I think you said it perfectly. We got to see Khamzat Chimaev go through adversity, and that's something every champion needs in this sport. Khamzat Chimaev is not a champion yet, but we all think he's going to be a champion soon, right? In order for him to even think about being a champion, in order for him to even be in the same class as someone like Kamaru Usman, who is the welterweight champion, he needs to go through stuff like that because Kamaru Usman isn't any of the guys he faced before. Kamaru Usman isn't Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns. And it's like, that guy is literally top of the totem pole there. And, it was hard just to think, okay, he was going to go, and just be dominant and go to the champion and win it like nothing. Well, no, you have to go through stuff like this adversity. This, to me, when I first watched it, I was like, oh, that's not good. I'm like, Gilbert Burns is holding maybe weaknesses or something like that. Khamzat Chimaev, like other guys could have been. I started thinking about it, like, no, this is good. This is something that Khamzat Chimaev needs. This is a test, for him to be able to have that confidence that, hey, look, I can go toe-to-toe against anybody. And regardless of what's happening to me, I'm going to come out top and win. This was a great showing.
Yeah, it definitely was, man, because mostly when fighters are this dominant, like when they're knocking guys out, submitting guys left and right, and then they finally meet a test, some guys wilt under the pressure. They get discouraged, like, oh shit, I can't finish this guy like I did before. Yep. And they wilt. And Khamzat Chimaev definitely did not wilt under this pressure. He stood in the pocket. He was there fighting all 3 rounds against Gilbert Burns. And the scary thing about it is that he's only going to get better from this. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna get better. He's gonna probably be a little more, this humbled him for sure. So now he's gonna come into his next fight, whoever that may be, and he's gonna come out of this a lot better.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely gonna come out of this a lot better. He did. As far as Gilbert Burns is concerned, Ricky, it's just crazy. Like for him, he's ranked number 2 for a reason. He was the only one who wanted to take this fight, and kudos to him, because there were so many guys between him and Khamzat, who was ranked 11th, who were declining. They're like, no, we want no part of that. But he said no. He was confident in himself. He was confident in his stand up and his game plan, and it showed, because there was plenty of times he was rocking Chimaev, and as you said, any other fight I would have no. But Chimaev is as good as he is.
Yeah, I think they had 2 knockdowns between them.
Yeah.
I think they knocked each other at least once, I think. And both took some very big shots.
They did.
And yeah, it was a war, and it was fun to watch. It was easily the best fight of the night, man. It was crazy.
It made up for everything else. And it was exactly what we thought it was going to be. I get it. Chimaev was the overwhelmingly favorite, and we get it because of his past performances. But I don't think anybody should ever question Gilbert Burns or just in general whoever's ranked that high, because they're there for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's even people shitting on Chimaev, because of the confidence he came in. Everybody thought he was gonna run right through Gilbert, and like, the hype isn't real, dude. I think the hype is still real, because this man is elite. This man was where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Remember when he was just steamrolling the other guys? That's because he belongs in the top 5 of this weight class. He is where he should be.
Now he's in
the top 3. Yeah, now he's in the top 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's exactly where he should be. He is the elite of the elite as far as the welterweight division.
Yeah, absolutely. There's talks, Ricky, about maybe a fight between him and Colby Covington. I think it makes sense. You want to give him one more test before you throw him into the Lions Den with Kamaru Usman for the welterweight championship. Give him to someone like Colby Covington, because everybody said Colby Covington is literally the second best welterweight in that division. And if Kamaru Usman wasn't in that division, Covington would be the champion. You got to beat, but he isn't. Usman beat him twice, but he is someone who does fare well. Who did fare well against Usman, especially in the last fight. Can you see this fight happening? And if you do, who would win and why?
I can see it happening, even though I think he should get the next crack at the title, the winner of Usman and Edwards. I still stand by that, but I can also see this happening between him and Covington. And if this fight happens, I see Chimaev still winning this fight.
Really?
Yeah, and I see, and look, I'm going to say it like this too, man. I think this won't be as difficult as it was against Gilbert Burns, in my opinion. Really? Because you got to think, let me break this down for you, bro. Colby Covington's best offense is the wrestling. His best tool is the wrestling.
Right. Now,
remember, this fight against Burns, did you see how many times Burns was trying to take him down? He couldn't get him down.
Right.
Chimaev's wrestling defense is top notch. It is top notch, bro. And then his ground game also is good as well. So all Chimaev has to do is just stuff the takedowns, and he's gonna force Covington into a stand-up fight. Covington's good on the stand-up, but remember, that's the whole reason you don't want to stand up with Masvidal. He took him down because Masvidal was a better striker. Gilbert Burns is a much better striker than Covington, and he has power in his hands. You know what I mean? So compare those two. When Covington goes in and tries to stand up with Chimaev I think has the upper edge in the stand up. And I think that'll be the deciding factor for me.
I can see it being the other way around. I can literally see. Look, I get, and again, credit to Gilbert Burns. And I know, like I said, the last thing I want to do is doubt someone who was ranked that high. People did it, we did it, and you see how that ruined it for us, right? But anyways,
right.
Colby Covington is a much better wrestler than Burns is.
Right, but Burns was also pretty good on the ground. He's also good. His wrestling is good.
His wrestling is better. So if anything, I would give the edge there between those two guys. I'll give it to Covington. Covington's also this will be a fight. This will literally be a test. If Chimaev and Covington face, this will be the biggest test for Chimaev. And if he can get past someone like Covington, who, as you mentioned, is great the ground with wrestling, with his wrestling attributes, and is even just as good with his striking. When he was facing Usman, he stood up most of the time. It wasn't a fight that always went down. These guys were banging. And Covington was.
But remember, those were two wrestlers. Those were two wrestlers that were standing up and fighting. Remember that. Covington and Usman were two wrestlers. Even though Usman's striking has improved a lot, he's not a strike. The striking is not his biggest thing. As far we're talking about Usman. Chimaev is a much better striker than Covington, and he's gonna start. And I think what I see him stuffing his takedowns. This is gonna be a stand-up battle, and Chimaev I think has the upper edge.
This will be a good fight, man. It'll be a great fight.
And then imagine the lead up too. Let's see if Colby Covington is gonna say a bunch of shit about Chimaev.
Well, Chimaev's already came out and called Covington a bitch and everything for doing
calling the cops.
Yeah, for calling the cops on Jorge Masvidal at a nightclub. So there's already gonna be bad blood between these guys for sure.
Yeah,
it's a fight for me. I want to see this fight. I don't know if Covington will take the fight. He better take the fight. But
he better take that fight. I mean, you gotta salvage your image now, man.
Absolutely,
because it's not looking good.
Yeah. Let's see what happens from here, right? I think Chimaev has proven to everybody, and it's continuing to prove to everybody that he belongs in the title picture. Whether they just throw him to whoever wins between Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, or give him a fight between Covington, regardless of the fact, I think it's safe to say this guy is going to be a champion for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think he beats Covington, but against Usman, that's a different story, man. Yeah. But that's a conversation for another day. We'll see how this all plays out.
The division's so packed. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
The story and everything leading up to it is so good. Like the Chimaev story and his journey is fun. It's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, he's definitely something special, man. Because who else made it up this high this fast?
Absolutely right. Exactly.
I don't think nobody. So it's fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricky, let's quickly go on to the other two fights that were in this card. Mackenzie Dern defeated Torres. And do you think Mackenzie Dern is she ready for another maybe title run?
Well, she's back on track. She's back on the winning side of things too. So this was a good fight. She almost submitted Torres, probably like 2 or 3 different times. I think she went for a rear naked choke. Yep. Then she tried to go for a leg lock, and then I think the choke again. So yeah, this is a good performance by her, definitely. So we'll see what's next for her. I think she will probably end up fighting the winner of Zhang Weili and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, because that fight's gonna happen pretty soon. So I think that will probably be her next fight, the winner of that fight.
Okay.
And then depending on that fight, we'll see what happens as far as title contention.
Yeah, fair to say. Mark Mansouri defeated Vince Pichel via unanimous decision. What happened here? What did you see?
Vince from Hell Pichel, man, I love that name.
Vince from
Hell. That was Vince from Hell Pichel, from Hell, like how Vince McMahon would say it.
Right.
But competitive fight, mostly on the wrestling side. I think Pichel was better at the striking in this fight, but the Madsen's wrestling was top notch in this fight, and that ultimately got him the decision win. So that's pretty much all I can say about that. Pretty dominant win for him.
Pretty dominant win. UFC 273, Ricky, good card, bad card. What do you think about it overall?
It was an okay card. It wasn't as bad as I've seen worse cards. That Chimaev and Burns fight definitely saved the card for me.
Yeah.
But not the worst. It was, but it was okay.
They teased UFC 274, which is slated to be next. 3 big fights, just like here. You have Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. Just an early prediction, Ricky. What do you think about this fight that there may be between these two guys?
That's gonna be an exciting fight. That's gonna be a banger of a fight. Probably another fight of the night potential for that card. I got Chandler winning that fight though. I think Ferguson he's been on a losing skid lately, man. He's not been. But then again, he was facing against wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys, and he was getting submitted.
Yeah.
You know, the dude nearly got his arm and his leg almost just torn off completely in his last 2 fights. So, but now he's facing a guy that's going to strike with him, which, you know, Michael Chandler is definitely going to be in his face. He's going to be striking with him. So I got Chandler winning this fight, but don't count out Tony Ferguson in this one either.
Yeah, these are two like dynamite lightweights, man. Chandler ranked number 5, Ferguson number 7. So you know this one is definitely has title implications. The co-main event, ranking, Rose Namajunas is slated to defend her strawweight championship against Carla Esperanza. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this is another interesting one too. I think Thug Rose gets the win in this one too. I think this is the second time they're gonna fight, and you know, right now she's on a roll right now, and her confidence is at an all-time high. And I got the champ on this one. Yeah.
And speaking of champions, Ricky, the lightweight champion on the line with Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje.
Oh,
this fight, man, this fight literally is gonna be really, really, really good. Oliveira is the favorite, at least as of right now. Of course, this card's May 7th, so anything can change. But like I said, early prediction. Obviously, we'll have our preview show leading up to it. Before we get to it, but just for now, what do you think about this fight?
This is gonna be an exciting fight too, just like how the Chandler and Ferguson. I got the champ winning this one too, man.
Yeah,
because I think he's really proven his he really pretty much proven himself as one of the greatest champions here in the company.
Yep.
And you know, so I got him in this one. I'm behind him on this one.
Yeah, Justin Gaethje does get another crack at the title. This time there's no Khabib Nurmagomedov, man. So I mean, let's see if he can take advantage of that. You know what I mean? But I agree with you. I think Oliveira has proven himself to be the defending champion for a reason. He's there, and that's his division.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going with Oliveira here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's also preview Ricky Bellator 277. We have a rematch between AJ and Patricio Pitbull. This is going to be a great fight. His last one was pretty good. McKee definitely, dominated and took that fight. Do you see the same performance happening with AJ McKee winning again, or do you think Patricio could have?
I do, but it's probably not going to end as early as the first one did because it ended like minutes into the first round.
Yeah,
I think Pitbull's going to come in he's gonna slow it down a little bit. He's gonna take his time. He's gonna probably even be a little hesitant because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to get finished again like he did in the first fight.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So, and then we're talking about AJ McKee, who's, I mean, honestly, probably I think pound for pound the best fighter that Bellator has.
Yeah,
in that company. Yeah, I mean, this dude, young prospect, like up and coming, just like how Chimaev is. He's just on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a tear and he's steamrolling through that division there in that company. So I still got AJ McKee winning this fight, man. Possibly, maybe second round, third round, maybe. Probably by TKO.
Should be a good fight, man. Also on Saturday, fight night main event: Vicente Luque versus Bilal Muhammad. Pretty impressive that fight. He had a solid performance win. Do you think he could, carry that momentum against Bilal?
But you know what? This is the second fight this is the second time these guys are going to go around. In the first fight, Luque knocked him out.
Yep.
This is back in UFC 205, I believe. So Bilal Muhammad is going to come in this fight most likely with that in the back of his mind, and he's going to try to. His best bet is to try to take Luque down and try to hold him there, wrestle him, and try to go throughout these 5 rounds. Luque is because Luque is very dangerous on the stand-up. He has knockout power, but he's also very good on the ground with his jiu-jitsu. I mean, his last fight he finished it with a Darce choke. I think his last 2 fights he finished it with a Darce choke. So Vicente Luque is no joke either in the stand-up, in the battle, or in the bottom, and he's going to win this fight, I believe, possibly in the later rounds.
Yeah.
By knockout. I got him by knockout, actually. Probably like in the 4th round.
I agree 100%.
And think about it too. This Vicente Luque has been on a winning streak. So if he wins this fight, he puts himself in the conversation, against the winner of Usman and Edwards.
Yep.
Even though we're talking about Chimaev, I think he should get the next crack. But if he gets Covington, I think the winner of this fight might get the next crack at the title.
It'd be interesting.
And Luque is still a guy that that Usman hasn't fought yet either. So
we'll see. I mean, that division, like I said, that division right now is ridiculous. It's insane. It's
stacked.
You might have this stars and all these guys just banging like, solid performances and can knock out anybody. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, you got Covington there, you got Burns, you got Vicente Luque coming up, you got Edwards, and then you got the monkey wrench and Chimaev coming in, just like hot shotting all the way to the top of the division.
Yeah, Leon Edwards have a shot, and then of course the defending undisputed champion Kamaru Usman, who already steamrolled through half of these guys. Not to mention Jorge Masvidal, right? It's so this division, man.
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens for sure. You're listening to the Sports Gym Live podcast. Before we end the show, we're gonna get into a little bit of wrestling. Not much going on right now, other than Cody Rhodes is on Raw. It seems like they have a little plan in place for him. He beat the likes of Seth Rollins, he beat the likes of Miz, he beat him on Raw. Can you see him, Ricky, successfully being a champion there? Can you see WWE build him to maybe be the one who defeats Roman Reigns and take a title?
I don't see it personally, but if they were smart, they would try to put that guy to try to beat Roman Reigns, because there's nobody left. They've done a poor job of building up anybody to credibly beat Roman Reigns and take the title off of him. And right now they got this guy fresh out of AEW, that they can build as a big star, as long as they don't fuck it up and build him up to try to, potentially challenge Roman Reigns. So they got something there, and we'll see what they do with him, because right now they got, the only believable guy is Brock. Other than that, no one else.
Yeah, it's they're in a conundrum, right? Because they did all this to build Roman Reigns, he's undisputed double champ now, and which is great. We love his character, we love the way it's going, but now what? You know what I mean? Like, he can't stay dominant forever. Who are you realistically going to have come and beat him? I think you hit the nail right on the coffin. You have something fresh here in Cody Rhodes. As you said, somebody who was a big star around the whole entire world in Japan, fresh out of AEW, he was a star there, and you brought him in as a star. You don't defeat someone like that, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania cleanly for no reason if they're not going to give him a championship. The Miz has been he's the only wrestler to be a two-time Grand Slam champion, and you have him defeat Miz on Raw. Clean. So it's like, why not? Start building it from here. On Raw, have him face AJ Styles, have him face Edge, have him face Bobby Lashley, guys like that, and get him to be a legitimate contender for someone like Roman Reigns. And then I think he should be the one to defeat Roman Reigns, at least just for one title, not for both, but at least for one of the titles. And that way you not just have one dominant champion, you have two, one heel, one babyface. That's, to me, that breeds success.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, if they were smart, they would do that, because, like I said, this guy, he built his brand, his name outside of WWE, because before, when he left WWE, he was Stardust, he was a mid-carder. They didn't see nothing special in him other than he's the son of Dusty Rhodes,
right? And
and then he left, and he made a bigger name for himself. He helped start another company, which is effectively the competition now. So that's the one thing right there that makes me think too, because Vince McMahon has always been a guy that doesn't, he wants to bury his competition, and he doesn't like pushing stars that were created elsewhere. So, hopefully in his old age, he's gotten over that now. But if they were smart, they would push this guy all the way to the moon, get one of those belts or both off of Roman, and try to attract more of AEW's top stars, to come to them. They see, oh, look how they treated Cody Rhodes. I think, they're going to treat me the same way, I guess. And then I'll get paid a lot of money for it. I want to go to WWE. Maybe the grass is green. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side after all. That's what they should do. That's what the smartest thing for them to do.
And it's not just signing Cody Rhodes. When you have guys like Kevin Owens, guys like AJ Styles, who have great relationship with guys over there at AEW, and they re-sign. They rather be there at WWE, making way more money than they would at AEW, and then just possibly maybe, like you said, maybe being a star.
Yeah. I'm still skeptical though. Skeptical, so I gotta see.
and rightfully so. I think if WWE has shown me anything with WrestleMania is that they know how to put out a good product. That's something I thought we would never see, but They did it. They did it not just for one night, for 2 nights, and we mentioned on the last show that how hard that is to be able to put out 2 great nights to keep you invested, and they did that with all the matches that they had. So that tells me that they're capable of doing it. They just need to know they got to do it consistently.
Yeah, exactly. But with the amount of money they're getting, they must feel like we don't let's throw them a bone every now and then. You know what I mean? I guess that's the mentality going on there. But yeah, they got not only that, but they got the talent. They got some of the best talent in the world to put on a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of great show, this is a great show. UFC 273 in the books, man. How's Matt Chimaev? That welterweight division is scary, man. It's so crazy. Man. It's so crazy. I can't. Yeah. The future is bright.
What do you think? Do you think if it comes to him and Usman, early prediction, who wins that fight?
Dude, that's tough, man. Kamaru Usman is one of the greatest champions we've ever seen. Especially in that division. That's saying something because we had someone like George St. Pierre who ran terror for years. So I would always give my respect to Usman and say he's the one to win. But if there's anything that showed in his last couple fights, he started to slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? That Colby Covington fight was too close to comfort for me. I think
it was. Yeah.
I think that in a way displayed that he maybe isn't as dominant as he once was. You know what I mean? Now I could be wrong. Maybe it was just the way, like the style of where maybe Colby Covington just knew how to approach someone like Kamaru Usman. You even said it, and I believe that what you said. That how's not Chimaev, I think is way better than Covington is, and if that's the case, watch out, man.
A much better striker. Now he's a big dude. He's a big welterweight, man.
Right.
Big, strong welterweight. I can't see anybody holding this guy down on the ground for a long time.
He really is tall. You don't see when you see him on TV, you can see him dead. It's noticeably he's noticeably bigger.
I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". So he's somewhere around there, like for a welterweight, and very strong. Like the Gilbert Burns couldn't take him down, and Gilbert Burns is a strong man. Yeah, very strong dude. And so if you can't, and remember, both Covington and Usman are wrestlers. If they can't hold this guy down, they're gonna have a big problem standing up and fighting with this guy.
Yep, absolutely.
Big problem.
Big problem.
And I also want to mention this too, man. We were talking about Alexander Volkanovski and his dominance in the featherweight division. And we were also talking about AJ McKee, who has a fight coming up with Patricio Pitbull. He did an interview this week on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, and he was talking about his current Bellator contract. Now he has 3 fights left on his contract, and he told him that the only way I'm going to stay in Bellator is if I get paid $1 million per fight once this deal's up. Because he already tasted $1 million when he won the featherweight Grand Prix against Pitbull.
Yeah, and
he tasted $1 million with that, and he's like, you know what, I want to get paid that type of money per fight, because every time I'm going to come into a fight, I'm going to come in with an O on my record. So if he sticks to his guns at the end, I can see. And he not only I can see him leaving Bellator, but he also said in his interview that it's a dream of his to fight in the UFC, and he also says it's inevitable that he's going to fight in the UFC. So, can you imagine if this guy does actually stick to his guns, and then him and Bellator part ways at the end of this deal? We can possibly see him in the UFC, possibly fighting Volkanovski or even Holloway, depending on what happens from then and now.
So the MMA right now is in a great state. It is in the MMA world. Everything is going on MMA. It's literally in the best state I think it's ever been. There's so much going on. There's so many great fighters, so many great storylines. UFC, Bellator, they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, they're not.
Yep.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, like, we'll see what happens with that scenario, man. Because Bellator has a star in the making there. The guy is, I believe, he's 12-0 right now, and easily the pound for pound, probably one of the best fighters there in that company. So they want to try to do everything they can to make him happy. I don't, probably not give him that much money, but try to meet somewhere in the middle. Try to give him some kind of benefits to try to stay. Because without a doubt, I don't think UFC will pay him exactly that amount, but they will definitely throw somewhere close to it and pretty much guarantee him a title shot on his first night coming in, especially if he's undefeated still by that time.
Yeah. Yep.
MMA's
not going anywhere. Neither are we. We are the Sports Drip Live podcast. Ricky, thank you for that. That was a great way to end the show. Imagine something like that happening. It'll be big time. We'll definitely be here covering it as well. You guys can always listen to our podcast on Anchor and on Spotify. Catch us on the JCA Sports. It'll be on the JCA Sports. Just look for Sports Drip Live and it'll be there. Of course, you can follow us, as you can see on our screen, on Twitter at JCA, on YouTube at JCA Sports, and on Twitch at JCA Sports. We broadcast live from all three of those platforms, including Facebook at JCA Sports. Ricky, thank you for another great show, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for another great show as well.
Yeah, we'll be here for sure. We'll be here next week. We'll discuss what happened in UFC Fight Night this past week, and we'll talk about Bellator and AJ McKee versus Patricio Pitbull Part 2, and we'll even get into some wrestling, guys. So, you know what? Next week, we'll also talk about some Ryan Garcia. He recently boxed this past weekend. We'll talk some Ryan Garcia, possibly him, and a Javante fight that's rumored out there. So we'll definitely talk some boxing as well. But for Ricky, my name's Jose, guys. Thank you for listening to the Sports Drip Live podcast. And make sure to catch our episodes. It'll be out tomorrow. And we will see you guys next week. Ricky, anything you want to say to the folks at home?
Not much, man. Just say thanks for everybody supporting us. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here next week. We'll be better. Sports Drip Live for life.
For life, baby. For life. All right, brother. See you guys.